Have you ever wondered why some people seem to summon reality as if whispering to the universe, while you, despite your desires, your focus, your effort, remain stuck in repetition? What if the images in your mind are not dreams, but messages from a deeper self you've been taught to silence? And what if the method you've been using to visualize is nothing more than a decoy, a diluted imitation of an ancient power long buried beneath the noise of modern thought? They told you to think positively, to imagine success, to visualize abundance as if it were a game of fantasy. But no one told you this, that your unconscious does not understand what you want. It only understands what you are. The world you see outside is not a projection of your wishes, but of your unresolved conflicts, your shadows, your forgotten truths. And until you confront the hidden images that govern your inner landscape, manifestation remains a myth, an illusion designed to keep you blind. Carl Jung taught that every symbol holds a key, and every key opens a door not outside but within. What if the true act of visualizing is not about creating from nothing, but remembering what you already buried in the depths of your psyche? What if your desires are not goals to be reached, but echoes of something you once were, and the universe is merely waiting for you to remember? This is not another video on the law of attraction. This is a descent, a spiral into the language of the soul. Here, you will not learn how to manifest cars or mansions, but you might uncover why you truly wanted them in the first place. And if you dare to look beneath that surface, you may begin to see that manifestation is not a technique, but a mirror. And that mirror has been cracked for a very long time. Do not expect a list of steps. Do not look for a hack. What you're about to discover is a forgotten method, a sacred process hidden not by conspiracies but by the architecture of your own mind. Stay until the final moment, and what was once invisible will burn with unbearable clarity. But miss a single detail, and you may never see the thread that ties it all together. The question is not if it works. The question is, can you bear to remember who you truly are? Have you ever stopped to wonder why, despite all your effort, your deepest desires remain just out of reach? Why the things you yearn for appear in dreams, in fleeting moments of hope, only to dissolve into the gray mist of your daily life? It is not because you are unworthy. It is not because you are unlucky. It is because something within you, something ancient, quiet, and unexamined, is still resisting. There is a force in you that does not wish to become, not yet. And this force, buried beneath all your affirmations and visualizations, has more power than all the images you try to force into manifestation. You think you're dreaming of your future, but in truth you're reliving your past, dressed in prettier clothes, coated in golden light, still trembling with fear. Carl Jung once said that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So what if this fate that seems to block you is actually your own unhealed self in disguise? What if you are the gatekeeper, the guardian of your own delay? You have been told to visualize success, to picture the life you want in great detail, but no one told you the real secret. Your unconscious doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you truly believe. And your beliefs, the ones etched into your bones through trauma, silence, and repetition, are far more powerful than your intentions. That's why you keep circling the same patterns, why opportunities dissolve, why relationships mirror your deepest doubts. You are not broken, you are divided. Visualization is not about controlling reality. It is about remembering who you were before you forgot. It is the art of reuniting the fragments of your soul that have been buried under conditioning, shame, and fear. Every image you hold in your mind becomes a prayer. But what kind of prayers are you whispering in secret? The ones shaped by love or by desperation? Most people don't visualize. They beg, they plead, they scream into the void for a life that feels safe. But true manifestation does not come from safety. It comes from wholeness, and wholeness demands truth, even the truth you don't want to face, especially that one. There is a hidden method, not because someone is hiding it from you, but because it hides itself behind your resistance to look inward. The shadow you ignore is the very force that is shaping your future. Every suppressed emotion, every disowned memory, every unconscious pattern, they are all architects of your reality. You think you're visualizing abundance, but your inner voice still repeats, "I don't deserve it." You imagine love, but your body remembers abandonment, and your nervous system, wiser than any affirmation, does not forget. So you create, again and again, not from desire, but from unresolved pain. And the universe, being nothing but a mirror, reflects that pain back in symbols. The job that slips away, the partner who leaves, the door that never opens. You do not need a stronger vision. You need a deeper one. One that passes through your wounds, not around them. One that touches the child who still lives inside you. The one who learned that being seen meant being hurt. That asking meant rejection. That dreaming was dangerous. That child still guards your destiny, not out of malice, out of protection. Until you speak to that part of you, listen to its silence, honor its fear, you will manifest what you know, not what you want. And what you know emotionally, psychically, cellularly, is often drenched in scarcity. That is the wound. That is the loop. To visualize is not to fantasize. It is to remember. To reconnect with a timeline your soul already knows but your ego cannot yet handle. It is not a game of thoughts. It is a confrontation with truth. The method they never told you about is simple, but not easy. Become what you seek, not in theory. Not in words, but in embodiment, in vibration, in emotional integrity. If you desire freedom, are you willing to lose the identity you built around your chains? If you wish for love, can you surrender the armor that keeps you safe but alone? If you want abundance, are you ready to release the story that suffering is noble? These are not ideas. These are initiations. And each image you hold without reconciliation becomes a ghost, haunting your present, distorting your path. The psyche, like the universe, does not speak English or Spanish or any human language. It speaks in symbol, in metaphor, in feeling. Your visualizations must speak to it in its native tongue, through archetypes, through sensation, through emotional truth. And to do that, you must step into the underworld of your own mind. You must walk the labyrinth, touch the walls of memory and say, "I see you." Only then does the image take root in reality. Only then does the unconscious become your ally, not your saboteur. You say you want to change your life. That you're ready, that this time it will be different. But a part of you knows in a way words cannot reach, that you've said this before, and that nothing truly changed. Not because you didn't try hard enough, but because the effort itself came from the same place that caused the wound. You cannot escape a maze by walking faster. You must first understand that you are the one who built its walls. That is the secret no one dares to tell you, that the reality you call external is only the final layer of a psychic structure built over decades of forgetting. Forgetting who you were before the world told you who to be. Forgetting that every dream you chase is shaped by the pain you avoided. You see goals, but your psyche sees shadows. There is a paradox that rules your life. The more you want something, the more it reveals what you feel you lack. And the unconscious does not grant what affirms your emptiness. It grants what reflects your essence. That's why the same visualization method can work miracles for one person and absolutely nothing for another. Because the outer ritual means nothing without inner resonance. You cannot fake coherence. You cannot lie to the mirror of the cosmos. If you imagine joy but carry resentment, you will manifest mirrors of your resentment, not your joy. If you see yourself rich but still believe deep down that money corrupts, you will repel it in ways so subtle you won't even notice. You'll call it bad luck, missed timing, the economy. But your soul knows the truth. The sabotage came from within. Jung taught that we are all driven by archetypes, powerful forces that operate beneath our awareness but govern every choice, every pattern, every expectation. One of them, the most seductive and dangerous, is the seeker, the one who is always looking, always chasing, always striving. This archetype is praised in modern culture yet left unchecked. It becomes a curse because it convinces you that what you want is always just a little further away. Just one more course, one more journal entry, one more new moon ritual. But this endless seeking is not evolution. It is avoidance. You are not seeking your dream life. You are avoiding your present self, the one who is still grieving, still angry, still afraid to hope. Until you sit with that self, truly sit without trying to change it, you will remain stuck in the illusion of progress, spinning in circles, manifesting air. The method they don't want you to know is this: manifestation is a spiral, not a straight line. And every spiral begins downward, into the darkness, into the body, into the memory of things you were told to forget, the tears you held back, the moments when you asked and were ignored, when you showed yourself and were punished. The psyche does not forget, and until you allow those parts to speak, they will scream through your reality, your failed attempts, your repeating heartbreaks, your near successes that always collapse. They are all messages, symbols, echoes of what's unresolved. Visualization then becomes a ritual of listening, not commanding, receiving, not controlling, letting the image rise from within, not forcing it from the outside, letting the unconscious show you what you truly seek and what must first be healed. And here lies the most painful truth. Your current life is not an accident. It is a perfect reflection of your current state of consciousness. Everything around you, your relationships, your finances, your body, is sacred data. Feedback from the mirror. You don't need to curse it, you need to read it. To interpret its symbols like ancient scripture. That fight with your partner, a symbol of inner war. That job you lost, a reflection of a self that's no longer willing to shrink. That deep exhaustion you carry, a sign your soul is done pretending. These are not failures, they are revelations. And if you listen closely, they whisper what to visualize next. Not what your ego craves, but what your being longs for. By now you may feel a certain tension in your chest, a stirring. That's not anxiety, that's recognition. That is your deeper self beginning to awaken, to remember. The image of your future is not separate from your past. It is born from it. And what you visualize will only materialize when it includes all of you, not just the part that smiles and dreams, but the one that cries, doubts, and fears. That is the hidden method, the secret formula buried beneath simplicity. You must include the rejected. You must welcome the forgotten. You must embrace the parts of you that never dared to believe, because only when all of you is aligned does the universe answer with truth. By now, perhaps you understand, the true act of visualization is not a projection into the future, but a dialogue with the unseen, a sacred conversation between the parts of you that dream and the parts that doubt, between your deepest longing and your oldest fear. You don't create your reality by thinking harder. You create it by becoming someone who no longer resists the truth. And the truth is this: your vision will only manifest when it no longer threatens your identity. The identity built from wounds, from roles, from beliefs you inherited but never chose. The version of you that you defend is the same one that keeps you small. That's why the image doesn't come to life, because to receive it, you would have to die as the person you've always been. And that feels like loss, but it isn't. It's initiation. Most people never cross this threshold. They stop at the surface of vision boards and morning mantras because it feels good. It feels safe. But safety is the enemy of evolution. Jung wrote that there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Real visualization hurts. It stretches you. It exposes you. It invites the death of the false self, the persona you wear like armor, stitched together with perfectionism, people-pleasing, control. You say you want to live a new reality, But are you willing to become someone unrecognizable to your old world? To let go of being the victim, the savior, the silent one, the achiever? Because each archetype carries its own fate, and to step into a new destiny, you must lay the old one to rest, not deny it, honor it, but bury it nonetheless. This is where most get stuck. Because to manifest a life of peace, you must first face the chaos you've made peace with. The toxic love you called passion, the scarcity you called discipline, the exhaustion you called ambition. And you must ask yourself, who am I without these? Who am I when I stop identifying with pain, with struggle, with survival? If I am no longer the one who fights for everything, who suffers for every gain, do I still deserve what I want? The answer is not intellectual, it is somatic. It lives in your body, in your breath, in your capacity to receive without guilt, to have without fear, to shine without shame. And so, the hidden method is not a technique, it is a transformation. It asks you to sit in the fire of your discomfort long enough for something sacred to emerge. Not a thing, not a result, but a new self. One who can hold the vision without collapsing. One who does not beg, does not bargain, but allows. The irony is painful. You will only receive when you no longer need what you're asking for to feel whole. The moment you stop using your desire to escape your present is the moment the future begins to respond. Not because you tricked the universe, but because you finally became the one who can live the image without betraying themselves in the process. Jung believed that the unconscious is always guiding us, not with answers, but with symbols. And perhaps this video, this message, is such a symbol, a thread in the labyrinth, a sign that your time of seeking is not over, but it must change. You are not being called to visualize more, but to see deeper. To see the ways you still abandon yourself. To see the wounds you wrapped in gold and called destiny. To see that what you want is not outside of you, waiting. It is inside you, asleep, and it is dreaming of you. So now a question rises. Can you stay? Can you remain in the space between what you were and what you are becoming? Most people run here. They fill the silence with plans, with distractions. But if you stay, if you breathe into the discomfort, something shifts. The image begins to change. It becomes less about what you want and more about who you are. Less about manifesting a life and more about living as the soul who no longer doubts they deserve it. There comes a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when something inside you exhales. Not from relief, but from recognition. It is the moment you stop trying to become and start remembering that you already are. The vision you held like a candle in the dark begins to burn from within. It no longer dances in the distance, it flickers in your chest. And for the first time, perhaps, you realize you were never trying to reach your future. You were trying to catch up with your own soul. But this reunion is not gentle. It unravels you. It exposes how much of your life has been lived for others, for their approval, their comfort, their stories. You've built entire dreams not from authenticity, but from adaptation. You visualized a house, a career, a love, but you forgot to ask, whose voice is speaking through this image? Is it truly mine? Or is it the echo of a parent's expectation, a culture's ideal, a society's performance? This is where most dreams die, not in failure, but in disillusionment. You manifest the thing and feel emptier than before, because the thing was never yours. It was a placeholder, a mask, and now the mask no longer fits. This is where the sacred pain emerges. The grief of letting go of what you thought would save you. The sorrow of realizing that healing does not come from achievement but from surrender. From allowing the parts of you you've disowned to return. The angry one, the needy one, the one who wanted too much, the one who dared to hope and was laughed at. All these selves, ghosts in the corridors of your unconscious, now stand before you, not as enemies, but as witnesses. They do not want revenge. They want restoration. They want to be seen. And until they are, no vision will feel complete. Because no vision born from fragmentation can lead to wholeness. And so, this is the question you must live inside. Can I desire without abandoning myself? Can I dream without betraying my truth? Can I visualize without dissociating from the present moment? The unconscious does not respond to what is ideal. It responds to what is integrated. It rewards congruence, not perfection, not control, but inner coherence. That is the hidden method. That is the truth behind every manifestation that truly endures. It is not about asking harder. It is about collapsing the distance between who you are and who you pretend to be. Only then does the vision stop being a fantasy and becomes inevitable. So many of us live suspended between two selves, the one we show and the one we are. Visualization becomes dangerous here, because when you project an image from the false self, you will manifest realities that exhaust you, imprison you, distort you. Success that feels like pressure, love that feels like obligation, freedom that feels like fear. Because it came from a version of you that was still performing, still surviving. And now you're being invited to something else. Not better, deeper, not shinier, truer. Can you feel it? That subtle shifting beneath your skin? It is not inspiration, it is initiation. The unraveling of the illusion that your reality is separate from your being. The slow collapse of the lie that manifestation is about control. It was never about control. It was always about remembering. And the more you remember, the more reality bends, not to your will, but to your truth. This is what they never told you, not because it was forbidden, but because few could speak this language. The language of shadow, of symbol, of soul. And now that you've heard it, even if only in fragments, something within you has shifted. You may not understand it fully, but it feels different, doesn't it? Like a veil has lifted. Like something once far has stepped closer. This is not the end, it is the crossing, a threshold, a crack in the pattern, and what comes next will not be delivered. It must be lived. And now, in the hush that follows truth, something ancient stirs within you. Not an answer, not a conclusion, but a presence. Quiet, watchful, familiar. It's been waiting. Beneath every vision board, every repeated mantra, every whispered wish into the night. This presence has waited for you to stop looking outward long enough to hear it breathe. The space between who you thought you were and who you're meant to become is no longer a void. It is a bridge. And you are standing at its edge, eyes still adjusting to the light of a truth too pure to explain, too intimate to be taught. There is no turning back now. You've touched something real, not with your hands, but with your being. A thread of knowing has been pulled from deep inside you, and no matter how ordinary tomorrow appears, this moment will echo beneath the surface. You may try to return to your routine, to your comfortable beliefs, to the old pace of wanting and waiting. But something has shifted. The desire no longer feels the same. The question has changed shape. And what once seemed like a goal now feels like a mirror, reflecting not what you want to have, but who you are willing to become. You see it now, don't you? The vision was never the destination. It was the language of your soul speaking, through symbols, through longing, through the quiet ache that has always been more than a craving. It was memory disguised as hope. Not of something new, but of something forgotten. You were not chasing the future. You were trying to remember your origin, the shape your energy once took before the world told you to be smaller, safer, more acceptable. And the images you visualized were not fantasies. They were fragments, scattered pieces of a deeper design that only now begins to reassemble. Let that sink in. Let it tear a little at the edges of your certainty. Because true change never arrives through logic. It comes like a scent from childhood, a feeling you can't quite name, a sudden tear without a visible wound. Transformation doesn't shout. It hums beneath your skin. And if you're still enough, if you resist the urge to define it too soon, you'll hear it. That low ancestral pulse reminding you that what you desire is not a place but a frequency, and the moment you match it from within, the world around you begins to respond like an echo finding its source. Do you feel it now? That flicker of recognition? That subtle unraveling of the lie that said you had to fight for what is already yours by essence? The truth is, nothing outside you will ever complete the image if you remain incomplete within. The house, the lover, the success, they are all shadows of an inner alignment. They materialize not when you demand them, but when you dissolve what resists them. Your resistance was never laziness. It was grief, protection, timing. And now something in you has decided. It's time. Time to see clearly, to listen honestly, to welcome the sacred discomfort of expansion. This is not a call to hustle harder. It is a calling to awaken slower, deeply, viscerally. You are not here to fix your life. You are here to remember that you were never broken, only divided, only dismembered by the narratives you absorbed without question. But your soul has kept the blueprint. And today, it has begun to whisper it back to you. So leave this moment not with urgency, but with reverence. Let what was said settle in places words can't reach. Let it find its way into your stillness, into your sleep, into the quiet moments when you think you've forgotten, because you haven't. The seed is planted, and the soil it needed was never information. It was feeling. You didn't need more knowledge. You needed resonance, alignment, a mirror that finally spoke your language. And if you've come this far, it means something inside you has begun to remember that language. You may not know how to speak it yet, but you've felt its weight, its silence, its pull, and that is enough. The rest will unfold not with effort, but with integrity, not with striving, but with surrender. And when the image returns, and it will, you will see it not as a hope, but as a reflection. So allow yourself to carry this message forward, not in your mind, but in your breath. Speak less about what you want. Listen more to what already lives inside you. And when you're ready, not to chase but to embody, return to the vision. This time, not to command it, but to become it. Because you are not here to learn how to visualize. You are here to remember that you already are the vision. If this touched something in you, not the surface, but the place beyond words, then let it move you further. Let it continue the conversation beyond this frame. Share this message not because it's content, but because it's a compass. Like it not as a click, but as a confirmation. Comment not just with thoughts, but with truths. Tell me, what did this awaken in you? And if you feel called to walk deeper into this journey with us, subscribe, not out of habit, not out of routine, but because something in you knows this is only the beginning.